Hello friends, you're with Lonesome Gamer, and today I'm gonna play American Megafauna by Phil Eklund. You might remember a few months ago I had the idea about a new project, kind of a walkthrough through history. I did a very long video series about 7 ages as some kind of overall playthrough through all human history. And then I started with erosion, but then I didn't continue. I had a break, and there was a reason for that. I was waiting for a game called Neanderthal, and I really hoped to get that pretty soon. It was announced first for September, and then the release date was October, and now I'm confident that I might get that maybe in November. I hope so, at least. And I really wanted to wait continuing the series until I could also present that game, because it fills a very important part of human history, and there is, from what I know, no really interesting game about this early evolution of mankind. So that was the reason why I had that break in this series. And well, now I want to continue, and there is one game that would that we would see before Neanderthal, and that is American Megafauna. So, well, let's set up the game. Okay, so the game is set, and we're playing with 5 players. That's the maximum if you have the expansion. I've already done a playthrough about the solitaire variant, but I'm gonna start completely from the beginning again. I'm going to explain all the rules in detail, because there's a big difference to the solitaire variant if you play that game multiplayer. So the goal of the game is simply to score points. And there are 2 scoring rounds. One comes after the Mesozoic era, and the second one at the very end of the game, at the end of the Cenozoic era. And then you add up these scored points, and the winner is the guy with the most points. So you simply get 1 point for each population tent. That's these things here that you have on the map. So for now, each player starts with a single population tent of the archetype of his, well, let's say species. I'm not sure about these biological categories, but let's call them species for now. We have up there the beak lizard, and he's with his teeth structure closest to the reptiles, or he's a pure reptile. He's got these for dentition RRRR. That's his dentition, I don't know, signature or whatever. I'm not sure. This is all explained somewhere in the rules or the scientific background here. I'm not absolutely sure what that means actually. Then we got here the two-tusker Dicynodont, and he's well, a little more reptile than mammal. He's got these 2 mammal dentition and 3 reptile dentition. We got the Protocroc Rauisuchit. He's well, still a little more reptile, but less than the two-tusker. He only has 2R and half mammal. Over here, we got the Dinocroc Pseudosuchit. Simply gonna call him Dinocroc. And well, he's kind of in the middle, you know. He has 1 R and 1 M. And finally here, Dogface Cynodont. He is a complete mammal with 3 M. Okay, we all start with 5 genes. This is from Fortune and Glory, and we're taking, the genes is basically the currency of the game. Now, one basic concept of the game is that you have to, you want to be in biomes, these different things here are biomes. You want to be in biomes where you can survive. And in most biomes, you need specific, well, let's call them abilities to survive. For example, in this one here, you can see here there is a G written. So you must be able to graze there. Or this is a maritime biome, so you need 1 M. You gotta be a maritime creature, or at least part, to survive there. Or over there at the cycad trees, you have to be able to browse and graze, and so on. Right now, we don't have any special abilities, so we can only survive in biomes that have no special requirements, so there should be written none. And there are these starting biomes that are these here with this kind of star at the beginning. If you see here at the background, you see this starburst biomes, that's what they're called. So this starting map is predetermined just to be sure that there are enough biomes that have no special requirements. Okay. The game is played in turns, and we have here a very, very good sequence of play, which explains basically everything you need to know once you've read the rules, and it's really very helpful. So the first thing we always do is we simply reveal the first card, and we start down here and then work our way up, and the game ends mostly if all cards are played. There are some other ways the earth can freeze or can completely be flooded. That's another option how the game could end, but let's hope that won't happen. So let's see what we got now. That is interesting. So this is a genotype, and genotypes are pretty valuable cards because they allow you to place a second species on the board. So that's a really good thing. And what we're going to do now is we got to auction this card. Okay, so to do my solitaire auctioning, I came up with some table where I can randomly determine who's gonna bid how much money or how much genes, and I also have some different, let's say, aggression patterns for the different players, which I determined randomly at the start of the game. Whatever, that's all not so important. What happened is that basically, except for Two Tusker, everybody was bidding all the genes they had. So we had a tie, and in case of a tie, at the moment, the player with the most reptile dentition wins. So he has to pay 5 genes, and that gives him now this genotype. Now this card goes into his hand, and what happens now is we have here, I think that happens only if the card is expressed, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. This Milankovitch cycle. But we'll see that in a minute. So that was the auctioning of the cards, and now we can express cards. He could also hold onto this card, keep it in his hand, but that's always a risk because it is possible that a genetic drift occurs, and that would force him to discard a card from his hand. And that's definitely something we want to avoid. So I think it might be a good idea in this case simply to play this one. And because he is more reptile, we got to play this reptile side. Otherwise we would play it like this. That would be the mammal side. So in this case, these are toothed birds, and they can only have a size of 1 or 2. Now there is actually a risk, and I think I don't want to play that card now as I see it, because if I play it now, I have to replace one of these population tents with a new tent, so that would be then basically a mutation into this. So that means I would lose the whole population of this tent, and that's something I don't want to risk here. So I think I'm going to keep this card in my hand for now and wait until these guys have expanded a little bit, and then I'm going to play it so that both species then can exist. And by the way, the beak lizard is not this one here, but that one. Okay. So, what we can do now is we can recess DNA. That's not going to happen because nobody has a DNA right now. And then we can adjust trophic level and size. Okay. So we could now choose if we want to be herbivores or predators. Right now at the beginning we're all herbivores. This is simply indicated by placing the tents on the biomes themselves. Otherwise, we'd have to place them in this upper triangle here to indicate that this is now a carnivore. But we're going to stay herbivores for now. We're all happy we can all survive here. But we might want to adjust our size because it gives you some advantage to be a little bigger. If you have a size of 3 or more, you can move 2 hexes. With a size of 1 or 2, you can only move 1 hex. So I think we want to grow a little bit. But the big lizard has to be careful. If he's greater than 2, he cannot play this card anymore because it needs a size of 1 or 2. And it cannot be bigger than 1 or 2 because these are birds and they are not as big as elephants or whatever. So, but apart from that, we're all gonna grow a little bit, I guess. Okay. You can see here there are 6 different options on how big we can be. This is about 40 kilograms. This is up to 200 then, and so on. A ton, up to 60 tons here. Okay. So the next thing would be the population expansion now. And what we're simply going to do is we're going to add 1 population tent on each biome where we already have one. Okay. So these are all things that I might do in the following turns off camera. I just want to show it at the beginning of the game now. Okay. So, and then we have the herbivore migration first. And as I said, for now we're all herbivores. So now we can move, and we do this again in player order. And the player with the highest reptile dentition is allowed to go first. So that is the big lizard. Now he can only survive in biomes with no no specific requirements. So I might move up here to Greenland, none. Could also move here on the other biome in my hex. I could move down here. These are all adjacent biomes. You can see here the hexes and, well, so I guess I want to simply move up here. Now this guy, he can move here into this Tethys Ocean here. Oh, wait a second, actually. Strictly, this guy would be next. So he moves down here. And we have then the Protocroc. Where is he? They are a little hard to distinguish. Okay, this guy is here. And, well, he can move here, for example. And now it's this guy. And we said move here. And finally it's Dogface. And, well, there is no free biome now anymore. So anyway, he's going to move down here. Now this biome can sustain two population tents. this number here, so they can coexist there. There is enough food for both of them. Okay, now we would see the carnivore migration and the size, so that means the carnivores could now follow their prey, but that's not going to happen because there are no carnivores. Then we would see the herbivore cull. So if any herbivores would not fulfill the requirements of their biome, they would now be killed. Also, if there would be more tents on a biome than it can sustain, then some tents would be also killed. And then we have, but that's not the case nowhere. Then we have the carnivore cull, and now the carnivores that cannot find any suitable prey would be also killed. Okay, that's it. That was now the first turn. Okay, let's see what happens next. Now this is another, this is actually another genotype, and that's quite lucky now, because usually these are pretty rare. So let's see who wants to have this one. Okay, so Two-Tusker is actually able to get this for $4. And now we can express cards, and we start here. Now the beak lizard can do that. He wants to start this second species here. And these are the toothed birds. But before we can place that, we got to do this Milankovitch event now. So there is written an E, so that means now that the Earth changes the orbit from a circular orbit to an oblate orbit. So what does that mean? Well, we have a continental drift. Africa moves south to Gondwanaland, Spain moves north to Iberia. Okay, now that means this one moves up here, but there is a land bridge here, the Cantabria Bridge, which is still clear. And the African plate, it's this one, moves to Gondwanaland. And now this is not clear anymore. This is a flooded area. You cannot move across this space, except if you have wings, or I think if you are maritime, but I have to check that. In addition, we have ocean bloom. Marine biomes in the preferred latitudes grow. So let's see. First we got to see what the latitude is. So these down here, that indicates the latitude, for example. This would be the jet stream latitude. So this is not in the preferred latitude. Well, this one here would be the horse latitude. So it's also not in their preferred latitude. Let's see if we find something which is in their preferred latitude. I don't think there is one, actually. This one is in a tropical latitude. So that now grows. So we can actually change that to 3. The quillwort coastal marsh. That can sustain now 3 population, but a hex can never sustain more than 4 overall. So this, the lycopod coal swamp, will now lose 1. Okay. Fine. And then we can play this card. So what happens is the card is played here on the next genotype space, and it enters the game with the same size as the parent species, so that would be size 2 then. And now it's interesting to realize that this genotype has now 2 special abilities already. It starts right away with insectivorous and maritime. So this is kind of a amphibious species, because to be completely an aquatic species you need 2 M. But this has only 1 M, which allows it to live on land or in some biomes which only need 1 M. The ones that need 2 M are, well, kind of deep ocean or what, so you cannot live there. You need some land as a bird, well, to land. So let's see, we're going to now remove, I think this guy here, and wait a minute, I have to find some other population temps now for this species. Okay, now let's take these guys. These are not exactly birds, more bats or something, but at least they have wings. So we're going to place this one here, and yeah, that's basically it for the expression of the cards. Now the two-tusker, he cannot play this card here. To play the flying foxes, he needs a size of 1. This is they can only be very small, and he has now this size of 2. So he has to reduce its size during this turn to be able to play the cards in the next turn. And by the way, although this bridge is clear here, I'm not... Yeah, actually it should be no problem. They should be able to enter this hex, although this space here is flooded. The same here. I'm not absolutely sure though. This is a borderland. I think a borderland might be only adjacent to that one. I have to look that up. Okay, now we can adjust trophic level and size. So again, I think the beak lizard wants to grow a little bit. This guy wants to shrink. The protocroc wants to grow. And the others also want to grow. So except for the two-tuskers, they all have now a size of 3. And of course for this toothed birds. And this is their maximum size. They cannot grow anymore. And that allows them now to move 2 hexes instead of only 1. Okay, we're going to do the population expansion off camera. Okay, so if it comes now to the question if these hexes can be entered, we see here migration limitations, and it's C, hexes with both slots, marine or flooded, can be entered only by using mDNA or wings. Now, as I said, this is, I'm not sure, is that now a really marine hex? Let me see. It might. I think we can actually not enter this hex anymore because one is marine and the other one is flooded. So yeah, that's exactly the case. So that means now during this migration phase, the dinocroc is completely isolated here because of this continental drift. That gives him some problems now. But let's start with the beak lizard. Well, let's see where he wants to move now. Let's see this guy. Well, he can move down here. Cloud forest and the Appalachians. And the birds, well, they have this I and an M. So they could move, for example, here to this Panthalassa Ocean. They could survive there. But it's not that easy to get there. So I think I simply want to move with them down here. Actually, I could move here, because we have here an eye. This is a niche, and that might help us to during a competition here. Okay. Now I'm going to do the other movement of camera, I guess. Okay. So it's already getting a little tricky here. Protocroc has to make some important choices, because after him will move Darkface, and I'm going to get into more detail into who survives on a biome a little later. But right now, Darkface would be an advantage over Protocroc. So just imagine now, Darkface would move with both of his guys here, and then they would be both extinct, because this biome can only sustain 2 population tens. So there would be only these 2 left, and one of them would be also killed because of this guy here. And I wonder now if maybe even another guy could be able to move here. So then then Protocroc might be extinct completely, and that's definitely something he wants to avoid. So he got to try to spread out a little further and has to find a way where to go. So I think he moves one here. There is not too much competition right now. The other guy goes down here. Same applies to this one. And this guy can move here. So that gives him some better chances now. I hope so, at least. So we see Dinocroc moving. Yeah, and he is, as I said, completely isolated. He cannot move, which might give him some real trouble, simply because it's going to be hard to score points if you only can live on 2 biomes. So right now he cannot have more than 4 population. And well, Darkface, I think he's going to move possibly here. And, well, right there. He might move down here because he's going to lose the competition against Two-Tusker here. Well, he can actually move 2 spaces, so it's probably a good idea to move away from here and go up here. Yeah, I think that's going to be fine. Okay. Now we're going to see the carnivore migration. Well, until now we don't have any carnivores. And then we see the herbivore cull. Okay, so right now we got to check if anywhere there are more tents than the biome can sustain. And that is, for example, the case right here. Bion can only sustain 2, but there is a population of 3 right now. So now we got to follow this order here. First, the one who has the requirement for the niche, which is in this case size, wins. So that means simply the bigger one would win in here, and they both have a size of 3, so that means there is no decision there. Then we come to the so-called roadrunner genes. Or roadrunner, that means herbivores ineatable to all predators in the hex beat others. Well, there are no predators in that hex, so again we have a tie. Game warden, if there is only one type of predator and that predator can predate all herbivores in the hex, then the predator decides who survives. Okay, that's also not the case here. Finally, it's the dentition. Herbivores with the most teeth survive. So Dogface has 3, and this guy only has 2.5. So now Protocroc will die here. Do we have another conflict? I don't think so right now. Okay. So let's flip the next card. See what we get. Holy moly, that's another genotype. This is a little ridiculous here, but actually I think I shuffled them well, but okay. So again, we got to do an auction. Okay, Protocroc wins the auction, paying everything he has. And then we can express the cards. And now Two Tusker has the right size to play the Flying Foxes. So we see another Milankovitch cycle E, and the foxes will be placed here with size 1. So this goes now back into a circular orbit, and it says ocean hypoxia, suffocation, all marine biomes shrink. Okay, now that guy, this biome goes down, and I don't think we have an adjustment to 4 right now. We only have that if it's above 4, but not if it's below 4. So this one goes down. That one goes down. Now that's a problem for Dinocroc. This one goes down. And that one goes down. Okay, fine. Doldrums, terrestrial biomes with this symbol here, the jet stream symbol, they shrink. Okay. Terrestrial biomes. Oh gosh. Sometimes these symbols are hard to see actually. Got one here. Okay. Okay. I don't think we have anyone here actually. No, there is no terrestrial biome with that one. This one is a marine biome, so I think nothing happens here. Okay, and then we're going to replace one of the two Tuskers with a flying fox. So, and by the way, I should have placed that one, the birds, I should have placed them here where the symbol is for the genotype. Same thing here. I'm going to place this guy right here because, I don't know, this is the one, this is actually the thing that I think comes closest to a flying fox. I mean, this is clearly an elephant, and this is some kind of elk or something. So this is definitely a small animal. So we're gonna place that one here, and I wonder where it might be a good idea to remove one. Well, I guess down here, because the niche for these Quillworth Coastal Marsh biome is S, and that is, I think, swiftness. And these guys have already 2 swiftness, so they would win a competition because of the niche. Okay, and then Protocroc is also going to express his card. He has a size of 3, so it's possible. And he can play these redites, not sure how it's spelled. Because he's reptile, you got to use this. Yeah, you got to use this side here. Yeah, okay. And first we have to trigger this Milankovitch P event. We got that here, so that means perihelion summer. So the land gets drier, terrestrial biomes with the rain clouds shrink. Okay, let's see. It's this one here. And these 2 actually. The Sierra Madre. And also that one. Okay, so now if this one shrinks more, it is actually extinct. So that goes away. I think so. I'm going to check that again, but I'm pretty sure that this biome completely disappears. So yeah, this biome goes actually into the discard pile. So right now nobody can live there. I think it's kind of a, I don't know, desert or whatever. So uninhabitable. Bloom, biomes in their preferred latitudes grow. Okay, now let's see. Again, we have here the latitudes shown: Arctic Circle, Jet Stream, Horse Latitude, and Tropical. And the symbol here shows which is the preferred latitude. So let's see what we find here. Nope, not here. Here we need the sun, which is this one. Well, that goes up to 3, which is a problem now for these guys. That goes down to 1. It's interesting because you simply cannot live there. I mean, these are sand dunes, but they still grow. So, and then we have here, this one grows again, and that one also does. Okay, so these were the 2 which were actually reduced because of the land drier, but now they grow again, so that's a good thing. And this one also grows. Okay, so yeah, fine. And now Protocroc can place the red tides. He has a matching symbol here with size 3 here on his sheet, and he can exchange 1 population tent Well, let's find out what that might be. Okay, so I placed that one here, again because the niche gives me the advantage on that biome, because I have swiftness here, and these birds over there don't have that. Okay. And now we can adjust trophic level and size again. So this could be now interesting. Some people might now think about eating meat. Okay, so Protocroc decides to become a carnivore. Simply because he has not many teeth, and we've already seen him losing some competition against other herbivores. So he's now going to place simply his population tent up here, and that indicates that he's a carnivore now, eating these suckers down there. And he has to do this with all his population tents. Each species is either a carnivore or a herbivore. So both of them are placed now here, and there are only two remaining. Yeah, that is the case because one was exchanged, because there's this bird here. Okay. And then Dogface, he's now a little special because he is actually an omnivore. So he can, and he's the only one who can do this, he can decide per he can decide for each tent if he want to be a herbivore or a predator. And he's going to actually place this tent right here, and the others stay herbivores. But it's important to remember he's not allowed to do cannibalism. He cannot eat his own species. Okay. And then we can adjust size. And actually I should have adjusted the size of these suckers before I made the decision for the following guys, if they want to be herbivores or carnivores. I mean, you don't have to do this exactly in player order, but players can say, I want it to be done in that order. But sometimes you will do things simply simultaneously. Okay. Okay, Dinocroc decided to shrink a little because he definitely wants to buy either some bird genotype, something with wings or something, or some DNA with wings. And very often it's an advantage to be a little smaller, because otherwise you cannot place wings on your sheet. So he doesn't want to be too big here. Because he's the isolated guy here, so it would be cool for him to find wings or some maritime gene or something. Okay. In addition, we have to think about one thing now, and that is that predators, they don't want to be too big, because each predator has to hunt one herbivore tent. That has to be a suitable prey. Otherwise, the predator would die. And the herbivore... Wait a second. The predator is not allowed to be bigger than the herbivore, than its prey, and it can only be up to 2 sizes, 2 steps smaller than the herbivore. That sounds a little strange, to me at least. I don't really get it why the predator is not allowed to be bigger. Maybe the reason is that otherwise he had to eat so much stuff that it's not possible anymore or something. I'm not sure about that rule, actually. If someone has some interesting explanation, that would be great. Okay, so that was the size adjustment, and then we see the population expansion. Or basically I'm going to do that off camera. Okay, so after the population expansion, we're going to see the herbivore migration. And it's important to see that during the population expansion step, even if there are 2 of a species in a biome, you cannot add 2. So you can only add 1 no matter how many tents there are in a biome. So let me see. Well, this guy, for example, here has a problem, beak lizard. This can only sustain 1, so I will move somewhere else. I might also die. I'm not sure if I can, if there is still any room for him left. I'm going to do all this stuff now off camera and show you the culling then, I guess. Okay, so actually things are getting a little complicated now. When this thing goes more and more crowded, this well, starts to become a little brain burner. You really have to think all kinds of things through, and if you play that, well, this solitaire way, it becomes, yeah, it's hard to optimize all things. But okay, now let's do the culling here. We start with the herbivore cull. Here everything's fine. This has a biome suitability of 2. This guy is in trouble. I mean, really in trouble. Dinocroc. One of his people will die. There's no way for him to expand anywhere. He only is lucky that he's kind of isolated so that no one of the other guys can reach him. Otherwise, he'd be in even more trouble. So, if, for example, someone with a marine ability could move in here, yeah, as I said, or in here, then these would die also. But anyway, here one will die. And by the way, it's now possible for, let me see, these are the ratites. It's possible for them to move here to the cycads because they have this graze ability. Here everything's fine. So it's here. That's also good. Yeah, no problems here. Here we have a conflict now. The biome can only sustain 2. The niche is size, so the bigger one will survive here. Two-tusker has only a size of 2, as we can see here. And the dogface has a size of 3. So that means two-tusker will die. And down here we have a biome size of 3, so there is no problem here. Then we come to the carnivore cull, and there are not too many right now. We have these 3 guys here, and we got to check if they have suitable prey. So they might be able to eat here, these or that one. Now this is too small because Protocroc has a size of 3, and the birds here, they only have a size of 2. And remember, for some reason, the predator is not allowed to be bigger than the prey. But they can hunt the beak lizard. It has a size of 4, and the predator can be up to 2 steps smaller in size. So in this case, it's fine. And there are 3 population tents, so each predator can eat 1. And let's see what happens here. We have Dogface. He wants to eat the 2-tusker. And that's actually not possible because, yeah, that's something I missed. Dogface is simply too big here. So that means these guys will die off. That was pretty stupid, actually. I could have easily adjusted the size because it would not have been a problem for them or them to be a little bigger, but okay. Or even smaller, actually. No, not bigger, but smaller. And then we're here, and we'll see the protocroc wants to hunt the beak lizard, and as we've already seen up here, that is permitted, so no problems here. Okay, and I think it's now time to load this up. As you can see, things are now already getting a little more complicated, a little crowded. There are still biomes left which cannot be inhabited because, well, we simply don't have the requirements yet. We don't fulfill the requirements yet. Obviously, the players that have a second genotype have a strong advantage. There is no doubt about that. And Dinocroc is really in trouble. He has only one genotype, and yeah, can only inhabit these 2 spaces here, these 2 biomes. Dogface, well, he also has only one genotype, but his ability to be either an omnivore or a carnivore, either a carnivore or herbivore, might help him to survive if things get too crowded here. Okay, so yeah, I guess that's it for now. I hope to see you on my next video or on lonesomegamer.com. Bye.